Don't worry, we haven't started yet. Give you time to sit down. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. My name's David McCallum. I'm in Technology, Commercialization and Partnerships. And this is a presentation on the basics of SPIN. Okay, so I'm going to circulate the slides to people who've registered, and so you don't need to take pictures or take extensive notes. Also, there's a questionnaire or a survey, so if you wouldn't mind taking a look at the survey and filling that out, because I do modify the presentation based on what people tell me. Okay, so the situation that we're faced with at Argonne is that the vast majority of the funds we rely on to do our world-class research come from just one sponsor, the US Department of Energy. Unfortunately, the DOE budget is unpredictable, and changing funding priorities within the department may mean that less funds will be available in coming years to the national labs to do science. We did very well this past fiscal year, and we look to do very well in fiscal 20. The year after may not be so good, and we don't have much visibility about that anyway. So therefore, the question that we as individuals and the lab have to face is, how can we obtain the funds we need to continue to do our world-class, impactful work at or above the current level? And one answer to that is that we can seek funds from sponsors outside of our traditional funding base. So the purpose of this presentation is to provide an introduction to SPIN, the Sponsored Program Information Network, which is a database of funding opportunities. The aim is to show you how you can use this database to find funding opportunities that are relevant to you and your work. So I'd like to make this interactive, so we'll be doing some examples based on feedback from previous presentations. So if you have any, if you want anything to look for anything in particular, please let me know. So funding is essential for our continued success as scientists and for the lab as a whole. This is particularly important for early career PIs and for people who are looking to change the direction of their research. They need to find new sources of funding. And in terms of the lab, as I noted, the lab's budget declined in real terms, real dollars, for several years through fiscal 18. Fiscal 19 was a turnaround, and fiscal 20, as I said, also looks to be good, but we can't be sure this trend will continue, and therefore we are seeking other sponsors. Many of our colleagues are seeking other sponsors. So, SPIN. It's a tool for searching through the vast number of funding opportunities that are available from a huge number of sponsors. So I've been with the lab for about 5 years. The previous occupation, I was with a company called Microlink Devices, and we were doing development of solar cells, semiconductor solar cells. And we spent a lot of time writing proposals. Over the 5 years I was with the company, we wrote a total of about 270 proposals, of which we won 70. And I spent an awful lot of time looking through databases, lists of funding opportunities from the various individual funding agencies that we looked at. DOE was one of them. And I would have loved to have had a tool like SPIN, which would have made me able to do that background research much more quickly, much more easily. But unfortunately, my boss was too cheap to spring for something like that, so I had to do it the hard way. Okay, so SPIN is a tool. I think it's a very good tool for purpose. So let's talk about that some more. Okay, so has anyone here heard of SPIN? Okay, none of you. That's not really surprising. We did a survey a couple of years ago, and it turns out that about 7% of the lab researchers are aware of it, and about 1% of the researchers use it. So one of the reasons why we're doing this is to increase awareness and to increase utilization. So the SPIN, it claims to be the world's largest searchable database of funding opportunities. The lab has a subscription to it, and it's available to all researchers at the lab. So what the business model of the company that runs SPIN is to cull funding opportunities from numerous agencies and extract key information about those funding opportunities. The information is then stored in a searchable database along with keywords which are defined by the company that runs SPIN. So we're looking at about 40,000 opportunities at any given time from about more than 10,000 sponsors. And those sponsors include favorites such as DOE, DOD, DHS, the rest on that list. You'll note that the first three agencies on that list account for about 95% of lab funding. DOE accounts for about 85% of lab funding. And about 10% of the total budget of the lab comes from the competitively awarded funding, which is really SPIN's specialization. So that's, and that percentage of competitively awarded funding is increasing as a fraction of the lab's budget. So this is really a good way to get the information that we need to grow those programs. Okay, SPIN also has a search engine, which we'll talk about. You can search on a number of terms. You can save searches, filter results, and you can automatically run searches and receive updates. It's not, you can have this running in the background constantly looking out for new opportunities. Again, the lab's got a subscription. Any of you here can use it. The learning curve is not steep. It only took me a few hours to figure it out from scratch. And I think we can cover most of that in this presentation. So the first thing is how to get access to SPIN. It's available in two ways, actually. The first one is via InfoEd. It's the company that runs SPIN, so that's one interface to it. The other interface is via Perl, Argonne. So that's that here. Okay, various. Find what I've logged into. Yeah, this one's logged in. Okay. Okay, so you can get access via either of those methods. However, I would strongly recommend that you log in via Perl using your Argonne credentials. The reason for that is that enables account creation. And having a SPIN account gives you access to additional features, such as the ability to save searches, to configure alerts, and to bookmark opportunities of particular interest to you. So again, I'd recommend that you use the Perl interface. And when you have actually logged in, I'm not going to bother logging in because my password's quite long. So here, when you've logged in, you can see your name and the Argonne National Lab affiliation. That means you've got an account and all the things that go with it. Feel free to ask questions, by the way.
So do you just log in with your regular Argonne credentials, or do you need to sign up for a login?
You log in if you go through Perl, I can't go back. I can't undo the fact I've got an account, and I'm not going to do that. But if you log in to SPIN through Perl for the first time, it will give you the option to set up an account. You don't have to have one. You can use it just as a one-off user, but it will give you the option to set up an account.
Is it beneficial to have an actual account?
Yes. The reason for that is that it gives you access to the additional features, such as the ability to save searches, to configure alerts and so on. And we'll be talking about those in more detail. Also, you don't have to be on site to access SPIN. You can access it from outside of Argonne. Okay, limitations. Okay, so 40,000 opportunities from 10,000 agencies. You're going to get a lot of false positives or ones that you're not actually eligible to apply for. So my advice there is, before you do anything about applying for an opportunity, ensure that you are eligible to apply. So that SPIN specifically is not tailored to the unique funding restrictions of the National Lab. So again, check eligibility before applying for any opportunity. Resources in-house for doing that are the SPP, Sponsor Programs Office. There's some contact information there. A complementary resource to the SPIN database is the Funding Opportunities newsletter, which comes out every 2 or 3 weeks. And this presents opportunities of general interest which are screened for eligibility. So anything you see in the Funding Opportunities newsletter, you are eligible to apply for as part of the National Lab. Okay, so contents. I'm going to give you a high-level view of the key features of SPIN. Again, the learning curve is not steep. If you take this presentation, what's in it will give you 90% of what you need to know to do everything you can do with SPIN. Okay, so the SPIN homepage. we're going to look at the first five tabs on the home page, not in any particular order, not in sequence, but I should say. That's where most of the features are. Again, you'll note that when you're logged in, you have your name and affiliation will show up. So looking at search modes. Okay, so one of the key things that Spin does is or InfoEd do is they take the text of the opportunity announcement directly from the released version of the funding opportunity, and they put that in their database. And you can search on that text. You can do that in one of three modes. One is a direct text search. The other one's a keyword search. Another one is advanced search. What InfoEd also does is they develop a set of keywords for the opportunity. You can search on those. Advanced search, well, we'll talk about that, but that gives you the ability to search on a large number of fields associated with the opportunity announcement. And all of those search modes can be combined with filters to drill down to the opportunities that are of definite interest to you. I wouldn't recommend using the new or modified opportunities in this pull down here. That really gives you access to way too many results, and also you can't search within that results list. So first one is a text search. Okay, this is completely standard text search with various modifications to the input field. So I'm not going to bore you by going through this. You've all seen this before. But again, I'll remind you that this is a direct search from the text of the opportunity announcement. So this is what you would see if you found the announcement itself. A more interesting one is the keyword search. So InfoEd Spin shows up with one or more of 3,500 keywords. Those keywords are nested, and they can be combined with and or operators. This is actually pretty versatile. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so if we go to keyword search, okay, anyone got any particular keywords they'd like to search on?
Phonon.
What?
Phonon.
Okay, so the way it works is you've got to start off at a high level. It's a database, so phonons would be way down. So these are
Metamaterial? So maybe engineering?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and it's not.
Nanotechnology, maybe?
Okay, so if you select engineering on the first level, category 1, then you can search on a number of categories, and actually keep category 2 is down here. So within engineering, you've got different types of engineering. So okay. So it's just there's no third level in there. So perhaps if you're looking for something specific like phonons, you might want to be looking at the next search, which I'm going to show you. So anyone else? Because I've got some examples that does actually work reasonably well.
Yeah, so let's go from engineering to possibly manufacturing.
Okay, you don't have manufacturing in there. Sorry, manufacturing down here. No, I don't see anything in there.
Is science a bigger category than?
Yeah.
Material science, maybe?
Yeah. That's just taking you back to material.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So let me show you one I prepared earlier. We do energy, and then we are an energy lab after all. Then we do renewable energy. And then renewable energy sources. Let's see. This is not actually. Let me clear this and start again. It's not. I think there's something else going on. Let me start again. Okay. We search on renewable energies, renewable energy. Then click locate funding. Okay, so we come up with a whole list, in this case 11 opportunities, which doesn't seem like a particularly large number, so perhaps some of the other filters are still active. So we reset the filters so that we get the maximum number of opportunities. Try again. Okay. Okay, 46. So we've got a reasonably large number there. Okay, so you can see that once you've got these, you can sort them. I'll go into this in more detail later on, but you can sort them by title, sponsor name, sponsor number, deadline date, funding amount. So if you're interested in the big award amounts, you can certainly select by that. Okay, so that's if you have a set of keywords in mind, you can save as I show you can save a search involving those keywords, and you can run that search time and time again without having to re-enter the keywords. Also, there's additional filters which we'll get to. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is with the advanced search. So let's see that one. Okay, so here what you've got is a set of filters, and you can add more and more filters to the program, to the list. So I've got one here which one I prepared earlier, so let's run that one. So if we're looking for water, funding opportunity announcements which contain the keyword water, and we're looking for just federal. So if we look for sponsor types, just US federal opportunities. And then if we want something we've got time to actually apply for, the deadline is after. Okay, let's see after the end of the year. And we are not interested in water processing, so the full program, the full program announcement does not contain processing. And then we run that one. Okay, we come up with 22 results. Okay, so there you can see, again, the same, the form of the display is the same. You have the announcements, the sponsors, deadline dates, and funding amounts. And okay, so any questions about that? Okay. So the next thing in spin is okay, so that we've covered both of those things. And we've done the advanced search. Okay, so yeah, one point I didn't mention is you can do and queries and or queries or queries. So that gives you a highly specific search that you can drill right down to the handful of funding opportunities that might actually be relevant to you and of interest to you. Okay, so filtering search results. We do that under the Preferences tab. There's two main ways you can filter search results. One is using the sponsor type check. The other one is the limit to check. So we'll look at both of those in detail. Okay, so these are when you click on sponsor type or limit to, these are the windows you're going to see in Spin. So we'll take a look at those on the search we did previously. Okay, so first one is sponsor type. So if you're only interested in, in this case, let's say we're interested in states. We're interested in outside the federal government. So we're interested in expanding our reach to states and local foundations, let's say. Public sector, industry, and non-profits. Let's see, so we select those. Okay, that takes us down to none. That's not too useful. So maybe we want to set this a bit more widely. Take that one out. Okay, so that took us down from 22 to only 4 searches. And those are, in this case it's a state organization, this is an endowment, and this is outside of the US, so maybe that's a little bit too specific, but by playing around with the keywords, the keywords in the search terms, you can get more specific, more or less specific as you wish. Let's try that one. Just water. Okay, so this is all the water opportunities, all the non-federal water opportunities coming from, including foundations and state and local government and such. Okay. And if we search on limits, so again, this is a particularly useful one. So we search on limits. So one of the ways you might use Spin, if you use Spin for the first time, you might do a search that goes deep in time. You might look all the way back to whenever. You'll get possibly a large number of results, most of which are going to be irrelevant. Okay, so one way you might want to use Spin is you use it every 2 or 3 months. So if you've already looked at data from more than 3 months ago, there's no need to look at that again. So you could limit your look back period to only the last 90 or 180 days. So we can try that. So we go look back 180 days. We run that same search again. That brings it down to 2. And if we look back for 90 days, it should go down even further. That's puzzling. That's not what I expected. Let's see. Okay, that box was unchecked. So we look back just the last 90 days. Yeah, just down to 1. Okay, so there you can see. So if you combine that with the database sending you the database application sending your notes of what it found, this can be very powerful and a good time saver. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so viewing the search results. Okay, so once you've got your search results, well, what can you actually find out from the Spin database? So let's take a look at that. Okay, so water. We'll reset the filters. And okay, so we've now got a fairly large number of opportunities. So first thing is that you can get a brief. You can get a little bit more detail about Spin, about each of those opportunities by clicking on this box. That gives you just just a few. You can actually set this from within one of the other fields. You can get additional information about each funding opportunity just by checking that box. If you want to see what's in the database, you click on the title of the program, and it's now hopefully downloading data from the database. So yeah, you see it there. You have the opportunity description. So this is the text that's taken directly from the funding opportunity, and this is the text fields on which the searches are run. So there's the synopsis, program objectives, keywords as defined by SPIN. Eligibility requirements, again, this is strongly recommend you look at those. From this, it doesn't look like we would be eligible to apply for this particular opportunity. Then some guidelines about the amount of funds that's available, and sponsor information. So this one, it's actually not such a good one. Let's see if we can find another one. Yeah, let's find a US one. That'll be possibly more relevant to us. So sponsor information there. Okay, so there you've got the sponsor contact information, which is useful if you want to actually talk to the people to the program managers. Email address, website, the mailing address of the funding agency. Guidelines here. This is more relevant to us. Doesn't say anything about FFRDCs or GOCOs, which we would like to see. And eligibility requirements, again. Yeah. So, okay, there's a large amount of information available about each opportunity just by clicking on the title. And again, you can sort by title, by sponsor name, sponsor number, the opportunity number, or the deadline. And you can also filter from within these fields. So here you can look for specific dates or dates after a given date, or if you're only interested in small funding amounts, you can restrict to funding amounts above the whatever you think makes it worth your while. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Another feature is that you can export the data or subsets of the data that you find within SPIN to Excel or Word for your later perusal. You can select the fields that you export in the Preferences tab. Export data options in Preferences tab. So we'll take a look at that. Oops. Okay. Export data options. So okay, so you've got a list of the set of fields which are available, and suppose you're interested in, let's say you're interested in the contact name, telephone number, email, website, and interested in whether or not there's cost share requirements. So you can select those. Then when you export the data, it would export those fields. Also, that's how you set what you see in the in this checkbox, which gives you more information about the opportunity. You can select that to get the fields that are of particular interest to you. Okay, so then you can save, as I mentioned before, you can save opportunities of particular interest. You've found the funding opportunity of your dreams. You can select that one. Let's say we're just looking for federal opportunities. Yeah. Well. Say recent opportunities. you can select certain of those to bookmark. You can save that to bookmarks, which are managed under this tab here. Okay, done that. Okay, so managing bookmarks. Okay, so you can manage the bookmarks under the well, appropriately named bookmarks tab. Okay, so I prepared bookmarks earlier. So, these are ones where I'm interested in water because we just, we applied for a large desalination project a few months ago. That was this one here. So, that was of interest. Changes to that particular opportunity were of interest and I wanted to know about them. So it was easy for me to find that here. This is a couple of opportunities which I was looking at earlier today just for the purposes of this demonstration. So you can see that you have the opportunity. You can click on that bookmarked opportunity. It takes you right back to the information in Spin. So those bookmarks can be managed. You can group them under various group names. You can add to them or delete them as you wish. So export data. Okay, so using, again, within the search results page within Spin, you can select which funding opportunities you wish to export. And then if you click on the export button, that will export to Word or to Excel in as much or as little detail as you wish. Another thing is that you can save searches. Oops. Try full screen. So you can save individual searches. So you may have created a search which is in a great amount of detail. A lot of filters, specific agencies. You might put a lot of work into it. You don't want to have to recreate that work, so you can save the search and you can run it whenever you want. One of the very nice features about Spin is that you can set it up to effectively run searches automatically or to notify you automatically about changes to programs that you've bookmarked. So here I've set up some searches which were of interest to me: water, as I've mentioned, nuclear proliferation, lasers and quantum optics, which is my background. So, those are set up to run, well, there's various ways you can do it. You can run them daily or weekly. Daily's a bit much. If you're in a field which has got a lot of new opportunities, you don't want these gigantic emails every day. Once a week's fine. And you can get either an HTML or plain text email delivered to you, which will give you the opportunities of interest. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. Right, well, okay, that's the end of the meat of the presentation. There is also actually a help tab, which isn't, to be honest, it's not particularly helpful. It's not going to tell you much more than what I just told you, but it does give you basic guidance on the searches on exactly how to set up SMARTS, which is the funding alerts system. And it's also got training videos, which are very much entry level, easily digested chunks, no more than about 2 minutes long at a maximum, and there's only about 20 of them. So, as I said, not exactly a steep learning curve. You should be able, if you're interested, you'd be up and running in this very quickly. So again, just to summarize, so this is I think Spin is a very useful tool for locating funding opportunities, and I wish it had it when I was actually fundraising for developing programs. The lab pays for access, so you have access at no additional cost to you, and the lab would actually like to see its investment used more. So if you have any feedback on the material about SPIN, about what you think about it, please provide feedback, because we do actually talk to the company that runs it, and they do listen. So we can get, if there are any particular features that people are interested in, we could mention that to the company. Okay, so that concludes the SPIN part of the presentation. I'm just going to give you a couple of slides on information about support that Argonne provides for proposal separation, so it's preparation. So once you've identified the opportunity, it's a good opportunity in SPIN, and you decide you're going to write a proposal, we're not just leaving you to your own devices there. We do actually provide some assistance, and this is what I spend a large amount of my time doing, is assisting PIs to write proposals. So again, I'm in TCP, and I'm New Opportunity Development Manager. And we provide assistance with preparation and submission of winning proposals. I'm not going to read the slide to you. Just you can read it for yourself. So preparation on submitting proposals, developing capture plans for new opportunities. So understanding what your key strengths are, what your weaknesses are, how you fit in with the competition, how you can position yourself as what you want to do is something different and worth funding. And we also work with external contractors for large value proposals. We work with external contractors to prepare those. There's my contact information, so if you have any questions about this, please give me a call or drop me an email. I'm covered by overhead, so I'm at no additional cost to you to provide this support. Other resources which are, to be honest, underutilized in the lab. Graphics support. We have people whose job it is to provide appealing, impactful graphics. That's the contacts there. That's under cost recovery. Similarly, we have technical writers and editors. They'll help you with content development and do editing and proofreading. Again, that's cost recovery, and the contact information is there. And again, guidance and eligibility, SPP, Diane Hart is your contact there. So that's all I have. So thank you very much for attending, and thank you for your attention. So before we stop, does anyone get any final questions? No? Okay, well, thank you all. This video will be available on the website, and I will send you copies of the deck. If you register, I'll send them to your email addresses. So thanks.